A huge wave slams into the bow. The front cuts into the water, rises, and the ship keeps moving forward. From the bridge, the ocean looks alive. The ship climbs, drops, and rolls. Spray covers the windows while the crew keeps the vessel pointed so the next hit avoids the worst angle. That movement is expected before the ship reaches the sea. Big ships are not built to stay still in rough water. They are built to move, recover, and stay within safe limits. A steel ship floats because its hull pushes aside a huge amount of water. When the hull sits in the sea, that displaced water pushes back upward. This upward push is called buoyancy. As long as buoyancy can hold the ship's weight, it stays on the surface. The idea is simple, but it can support a giant container ship. Some modern container ships can be close to 1,300 feet long, almost 200 feet wide, with more than 50 feet underwater when fully loaded. At that size, the ship can look too heavy to float. But the answer is the hull shape. Huge hull volume pushes aside huge water volume. A ship is not one solid block of steel. Inside the hull are large dry spaces. Those air spaces help the ship stay lighter overall than the water it pushes aside. As long as they stay dry, the ship still has reserve buoyancy. A small rock sinks because it is too heavy for its size. A steel ship has far more volume, so the ocean pushes upward with more force. Serious trouble begins when water enters spaces that should stay dry. The ship becomes heavier from the inside, and the air that helped it float disappears. If water takes over too much space, buoyancy drops. The ship may still move at first, but its safety margin gets smaller. In calm water, buoyancy explains why a ship does not sink. In rough water, the ship also has to come back after it rolls. That is where stability matters. When waves hit from the side, the ship can roll. When waves hit from the front, the bow can rise and drop. That is normal as long as the ship returns to a safe position. In ship design, weight acts through the center of gravity. The water's upward push acts through the center of buoyancy. When the ship rolls, the underwater hull shape changes and that center shifts. That shift creates a righting force, which helps the ship come back after a roll. The crew is not waiting for the ship to become still. A large ship keeps moving until the sea calms down. What matters is the safe limit. If the roll angle stays within design limits, the vessel still has a good chance of recovering. If the roll goes too far, that righting force can weaken. In extreme conditions, a ship can lose the ability to return upright. That is why stability is not only solved on the design table, it also has to be managed through loading and handling at sea. There's a technical term called metacentric height. It describes how a ship first reacts when it starts to roll. We don't need the formula here. The simple idea is that the ship has to move in a way that fits its job. If a ship recovers too slowly, risk goes up. If it reacts too stiffly, the structure and people on board take harder hits. A safe design looks for motion the ship and crew can handle. Weight location matters a lot. Heavy cargo placed too high makes it harder for a ship to recover after a roll. That is why cargo position is calculated before departure. Weight that is safe low in the ship can become a problem if it sits too high. A loading plan is not just about filling empty space. It decides how the ship responds when waves start hitting. On a container ship, heavy containers have to be placed correctly, and containers on deck have to be locked down tightly. When the ship rolls, lashings and fittings take huge loads. If cargo shifts, the ship's balance changes. On camera, it may only look like containers falling into the sea, but for the vessel, that weight shift can change how it recovers after a roll. The crew cannot always fix cargo once weather turns bad. The deck can become too dangerous, so cargo has to be secured before rougher seas. Ballast water helps the ship sit properly in the water. It is stored in special tanks so the hull rides at a safer position. When the ship is not fully loaded, ballast helps keep it stable. But ballast can create risk if handled badly. A partly filled tank lets water move freely inside. When the ship rolls, that water shifts to the same side. This is the free surface effect. That moving water can make the ship feel heavier on one side. In bad weather, it can reduce stability fast. The crew has to know the tank condition, and every ballast change must be calculated. A ship is also divided into watertight spaces to limit flooding. If water enters one area, the crew tries to stop it from spreading. Titanic is often used as an easy example. After its hull was damaged, water entered the front sections, spaces that used to hold air filled with seawater. At first, the ship could stay afloat, but after too many spaces lost air, buoyancy dropped. The sea no longer gave enough upward push to hold the ship. Modern ships carry lessons from disasters like that. Their interiors are divided so water cannot spread easily, and watertight doors have to be closed when conditions get worse. A watertight door may look simple, but during flooding, it can decide whether water stops in one section or moves into the next. If it is open when water arrives, that boundary does not work as planned. Damage control starts with fast information. The crew has to know which part is taking water and whether the water is still rising. That information shapes bridge decisions. If the ship can move, the captain may change course to reduce pressure on the damaged area. If its position changes in the water, ballast can be adjusted. Water alarms warn the crew when water appears somewhere that should be dry. A fast alarm gives them time to find the problem, and pumps reduce the water while the crew handles the cause. Pumps do not always save a heavily damaged ship. What they give is time. In rough seas, extra time can give the crew a better chance to keep control. The hull also takes huge loads from waves. When the middle sits on top of a wave, the hull can bend upward. When the middle drops between waves, it can bend downward. That movement stresses the structure. A long ship has to handle loads that keep changing. Frames inside the hull help spread the stress so it does not build up in one spot. These loads repeat through bad weather. One wave may lift the bow, the next may press the middle. The structure keeps working through the whole passage. The load line on the side shows the safe loading limit. If the ship sits too deep, the distance between the sea surface and the main deck becomes smaller. That distance is called freeboard. Freeboard gives the ship extra room before waves reach areas that need to stay dry. If it is too small, water reaches the deck more easily and the ship loses part of its reserve buoyancy. On the bridge, the crew reads weather forecasts before and during the voyage. They watch wave direction and feel how the ship responds in real time. If the movement becomes too violent, speed can be reduced. The heading can also be changed slightly. A small change can make the wave impact safer for the hull. In the engine room, power has to stay steady even when the ship moves hard. The crew monitors emergency systems too. If power is interrupted, steering and navigation can be affected. Rough seas can make a ship's movement hard to predict. On ships with high sides, rolling can grow under certain conditions, so the crew reads the motion minute by minute. One risk on large ships is parametric rolling. Under certain wave conditions, the ship's roll can grow quickly. The usual response is to change speed, change heading, or both. Wave height matters, but the time between waves matters too. Long waves can lift a large part of the hull at once. If that pattern lines up with the ship's own motion, rolling can become much worse. Wave direction also changes the reaction. Head seas hit the bow again and again. Beam seas from the side make the ship roll more. Following seas from behind can make steering harder. Weather numbers never stand alone. The crew still watches how the ship behaves in the real ocean. If the forecast looks manageable but the vessel reacts too hard, the decision follows what is happening in front of them. Weather routing helps before the ship enters a bad area. Sometimes a longer route is chosen to avoid the worst part of a storm. The trip may take longer, but stress on the vessel can be lower. Time also matters. If a ship stays in bad weather too long, the crew gets tired and equipment works harder. The bridge team has to manage its rhythm until conditions improve. The ship's movement affects daily work. Walking gets harder, small items have to be secured, and easy port jobs slow down when the deck is wet and the ship keeps rolling. Preparation before a storm is critical. Areas that need to be closed must be secured early. Loose objects cannot be left on deck. Outside work may be delayed if the risk is too high. Big size helps only if the ship stays within safe limits. The safety margin can disappear when water gets inside or weight moves to the wrong place. Cargo hatch covers are especially important on bulk carriers because they keep the holds dry. If water gets into a large hold, stability can change before the crew has much time to react. Water inside a cargo hold can create a major free surface effect. Cargo holds are wide spaces. If water moves freely inside them, the ship may get extra heel when it rolls. The risk changes with ship type. On a tanker, liquid cargo can move inside tanks. On a bulk carrier, cargo in the large holds has to be controlled so the ship does not lose stability. Some ships use stabilizers to reduce rolling. On passenger ships, they make the ride more comfortable, but in extreme weather, stabilizers still have limits. The main stability still comes from hull shape and weight arrangement. Many cargo ships rely on properly managed ballast water. Bridge decisions remain a major part of safety. Before a ship is built, the design is tested. Small models can be pulled through test tanks to see how the hull moves through water. In wave tanks, the same model can be hit by waves from different angles. These tests help engineers see how the hull reacts before the real ship is built. If the model shows unsafe movement, the hull shape can be changed before construction gets much more expensive. Computer simulations are powerful now, but model testing is still used because moving water around a physical model can reveal patterns drawings may miss. The results help engineers improve the design before shipyard work. The ship model also has to be built at the right scale. If the scale is wrong, the movement seen in the test tank cannot be trusted for the full-size ship. After the ship is built, those calculations become daily operation. The captain has stability information for different loading conditions, and before departure, the ship must be within safe limits. Stability data helps the crew understand the ship's safety margin. If cargo changes, the weight location has to be checked. If ballast water is moved, the effect has to be calculated too. The crew cannot wait for the storm to arrive before figuring out the ship's condition. Once waves hit the hull, there is much less room to fix mistakes. The calculations have to be right from the start. At sea, those documents turn into real decisions. The crew watches the ship's movement directly and adjusts ballast if needed. If weather gets worse, decisions have to come before the motion gets too hard to manage safely. Waiting too long can make the available choices smaller. The captain may still have options, but every minute in rough seas changes risk. The engines and steering matter too. The propeller needs enough water flow to work properly, and the rudder needs steady flow so the ship can hold course. If the stern comes out of the water too often, the ship can lose some control. In rough seas, keeping the ship pointed correctly matters as much as keeping speed. A ship that loses its heading can start taking waves from a worse angle, then rolling can increase and loads on the cargo can rise. Speed has to stay in a reasonable range. Too fast and the bow may slam hard into waves. Too slow and the ship may not answer the rudder well. The bridge crew looks for the safest motion in that moment. The ship can slow down and the heading can change slightly. When the impact angle changes, the ship's movement can change within minutes. In rough seas, size only helps if dry spaces stay protected and weight stays under control. If water starts getting in, the crew has to stop it from spreading as quickly as possible. The bridge and engine room have to stay connected. Alarm information has to reach decision makers fast because a small delay can make the next job much harder. When weather gets worse, a ship cannot rely on size alone. Small changes in handling can change how it moves in the waves. That is why the crew keeps reading the ship's motion throughout the voyage. On camera, it may only look like the ship is getting hit by wave after wave and still pushing forward, but inside, every dry space has to stay protected. The crew keeps watching each change in movement before the ship gets close to its safe limit. This is where design and human decisions meet. The hull gives the ship the chance to float, and the crew keeps that chance alive during the voyage. As long as important spaces stay dry, the hull still gets lift from the water. As long as the ship can recover after it rolls, the crew still has a vessel they can control. That is why giant steel ships can still make it through rough seas without sinking.